Why don't you just give up? She's just a vegetable anyway. What? The vegetable my sister-in-law was referring to was my mother, who was in a vegetative state and unconscious. Originally, my mother and my sister-in-law were like cats and dogs. In such a situation, my mother fell down the stairs at home. The one who seemed happiest about it was my sister-in-law, Emily. How can you say something like that? Then my sister-in-law, facing my mother lying in the bed, spat out something even more terrible. Just think about it. She's eating up all this hospital money without even knowing when she'll wake up. Stop it, please. What about you? Do you really think you can take care of this old lady forever? I was so angry, I felt like I was going to burst. I wanted to slap her, but I held back. I could feel my fists clenched tightly. I hate taking care of her anymore, and I'm not paying a single penny. Wait. Bye. And with that, my sister-in-law left the hospital room, laughing loudly. Her voice echoed down the hallway. Looking at my mother, I whispered, "Mom, what should I do?" I buried my face beside the bed, feeling utterly hopeless. It's okay. Leave it to me. What? I quickly raised my head. To my surprise, my mother, who should have been unconscious, was sitting up. Frozen in disbelief, I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. Are you okay? Why? Well, a lot has happened. So, you heard everything we just said? Yes. Now it's our turn for revenge. My mother's face looked filled with confidence. This way, my mother and I vowed to get back at my sister-in-law. And we would make sure she goes through hell. My name is Sarah Kirk, and I'm turning 30 this year. I divorced last year and moved back to my parents' house. The reason was my ex-husband's infidelity. You've had it rough, Sarah. If you're over him, why don't you move back home? Really? I feel like that's imposing. Don't worry about it. We have spare rooms. Just keep in mind that your brother, John, and his family are here too. Oh. John is my older brother, 3 years my senior. He got married 4 years ago and has been living with my mother since then. That's because our father passed away just before John's wedding, and John moved in to look after our mother. Thanks for your help. Why so formal? This is your home, after all. Still, I'm going to be a burden. Just come in already. In the end, I chose to return home. I also managed to get a job in administration at a company run by an acquaintance. As I entered the living room, there was my sister-in-law, Emily, sitting on the sofa. She's a stay-at-home wife. Sarah? What are you doing here? She acted as if she didn't know, though my mother had already told her. I never liked Emily, ever since we first met. It wasn't for any particular reason, I just didn't like her judgmental attitude. It's been a while, Emily. I can't believe you got divorced and came back. You should have held on to him better, like I do. Maybe you should take a lesson from me? Maybe you're right. I'll just go put my stuff away. I quickly headed to my room upstairs. It was because I almost lost my temper on the spot. Really, what's her deal? It's unavoidable. I deal with her every day, after all. Mom. But every day? It's okay. She behaves when John is around. And then, a pivotal moment occurred. When I came home from work, I saw my mother, my brother, John, and Emily sitting face to face. Perfect timing, Sarah. Have a seat. I sat down as my brother, with a serious expression, began to speak. Actually, I've been transferred. A transfer? Is it far? More like overseas. What? Then what about Emily? I'll be staying here. So, it's gonna be a solo assignment. My mother and I exchanged glances. Then Emily smirked. Seeing that face gave me goosebumps. This was the beginning of a real ordeal. Well, I have to go now. I might only be able to come back once a year, if that. Don't worry about us. And John, take good care of yourself. Sure. A month after hearing about the transfer, my brother left for overseas. Honestly, I was full of anxiety about the future. My mother seemed to feel the same way. Are we really going to be okay? Now that it's come to this, it's up to you and me to manage. Like a team, right? From then on, we kept a close eye on Emily. We were sure she was up to something. But my sister-in-law was more subdued than we expected. Instead, she showed concern for my mother and me. Now that John is gone, let's work together. Think of this as a little celebration. Emily invited us to a fancy restaurant. Not used to such places, we were thrilled. Thank you so much. But are you sure it's okay? Sarah's right. Then Emily smiled. Don't worry about it. We're here to have fun, after all. We had a good time, drinking wine, and it turned into a pleasant night. I even started to think that maybe Emily had changed her ways. But my memory of the evening became fuzzy, and I felt like she had proposed something, but I wasn't sure. From then on, we divided household chores and lived peacefully. It had been almost a month since the three of us started living together, but then... Wasn't it your turn to do the laundry today, Emily? Was it? Yes, it was. We agreed on the chores, remember? Sorry, I forgot. Can you do it for me today? I have plans to go out, so please do it yourself, Emily. Emily sighed. You know, I'm older than you. It's only natural to respect your elders. I was a bit irritated and retorted more firmly. By that logic, you should be following what Mom says too. You're such an insolent woman. While we were arguing, my mother came in. What's going on? Mom, please tell Sarah. She's just a guest here. What's the cause of all this? Emily was supposed to do the laundry today, but she's asking me to do it. I see. Well, Emily, you have to do it. That's what we decided. Emily clicked her tongue softly. Fine. I'll do it. Emily got up from the sofa and started doing the laundry. After confirming that, I went out, but when I returned home, I was in for a surprise. Only my laundry hadn't been washed. Reluctantly, I started the washing machine myself. What are you doing? I glared at Emily, who came up from behind. You did this on purpose, didn't you? It was just an oversight. I wouldn't do such a thing on purpose. But the petty annoyances continued. No matter how many times I spoke up, she wouldn't stop and seemed to enjoy secretly watching my reactions. I couldn't stand it anymore and consulted my mother. So, at dinner, my mother decided to speak up. Emily, I heard from Sarah about the harassment. Are we back to that topic? But it's true, isn't it? If this situation keeps up, I'm gonna have to tell John. Then Emily smirked with sarcasm. Both of you seem to be mistaken, but you can't go against me. What? What are you talking about? Just look at this. What Emily showed was a video from the time we went to the restaurant. In the footage, both my mother and I were quite drunk. Then Emily said, "From now on, don't complain about anything I do, okay?" Yeah. And what about you, Mom? I'll follow you, Emily. I watched the whole exchange but hardly remembered any of it. I didn't even realize she had been recording. Now you see, right? But that was just because we were drunk. You're right, Sarah. Such a cowardly move. I've listened to it over and over, so saying that now won't help. Delete that video right now. Of course not. Besides, after being treated to such a meal, you can't say that. What if we ignore it? Who knows what might happen? Eventually, my mother and I, fearing Emily's rampage, decided to leave it be. We thought about telling John, but my mother didn't want to bother him, so we didn't contact him. Are we really going to be okay? For now, we just have to wait and see. But we won't just leave it at that. Do you have a plan? Well, I have something in mind, but let's see how it goes. Thus, we waited for a chance to get back at Emily without her noticing. But Emily seemed to sense it and became even more aggressive. Lately, you two have been whispering about something, haven't you? Whispering? We're not doing anything. You're always at home, so you should know best. Just follow my orders. They're just menial tasks anyway. Based on the trend so far, I thought it would just be menial tasks. I thought it would be just trivial chores, something I could handle. John and I had some delicious sweets on a trip. I want them again, so go buy them for me. Where from? I think it was either Florida or Alaska. It's impossible to go that far with work and everything. Watching me struggle, Emily just grinned. She just wanted to enjoy the spectacle. If you hate it that much, I'll forgive you if you beg me. I was even ready to swallow my pride if it meant satisfying Emily. As I was about to beg her, she said, "What a shame. I never thought you were such a prideless woman." No wonder your husband left you. All I did was expose my humiliation. Later, when Emily had gone to bed, my mother came to my room. Sarah, just a little more patience. So, you mean? This will make Emily admit her wrongdoing. When did you start planning all this? When I was alone at home. I've been preparing. I was impressed by her foresight. That's just how my mother is in situations like this. What can I do? Nothing for now. But Sarah, I need you to act naturally so Emily doesn't suspect. You tend to show your feelings on your face. Huh? I don't do that. We talked for a while longer. I tried asking what exactly my mother was doing, but she kept it a secret until the end. From then on, every day was nerve-wracking. I became more concerned about Emily's reactions. And I often checked my face in the bathroom mirror to make sure my feelings weren't showing. What are you doing? Startled by her voice from behind, my heart almost stopped. Emily! You don't have to be so startled. What's it about? I noticed you've been looking at your face a lot lately, so I got curious. Oh, this? Just a little pimple. You need to take care of it properly, or you'll age quickly. Yeah, you're right. I responded to Emily with a wry smile. Then, she left the bathroom. Making sure Emily was gone, I squatted down on the spot. I couldn't help but let out a voice. That scared me. She didn't notice, right? Honestly, whether it was bad timing or good, Emily's perceptiveness seemed real. After that, life went on relatively peacefully. One morning, I overslept and was in a hurry. As I tried to rush down the stairs, I missed the last step. Whoa! Luckily, I only fell on my bottom and wasn't seriously injured. Rubbing my sore backside, I headed to the living room. What happened to you? Oh, I just missed a step on the stairs. Really? I didn't notice at all. I thought I made quite a noise. Are you okay? I'm fine, I guess. The stairs and living room aren't that far apart, but it's surprisingly hard to hear outside noises when the door is closed. It feels quite dangerous. 2 weeks later. After work, as I was getting ready to leave, an unknown number called my phone. Hesitantly, I answered. Hello? Is this Sarah Kirk's phone? Yes, it is. Your mother has been taken to the hospital. She's unconscious and in critical condition. I dropped my phone in shock. I immediately asked what happened. What happened? It seems she fell down the stairs at home. Down the stairs? And who called the ambulance? From what I heard, your sister-in-law found her and made the call. I see. Thank you. Our family home had railings on the stairs, and my mother was still quite fit. Filled with doubts, I hurried to the hospital. Guided by a nurse, I entered the room to find my mother connected to various tubes. I was speechless. Then Emily arrived a bit later. Emily. How's your mother? Right now, we don't know. She's still unconscious. I see. However, Emily's face didn't seem worried. In fact, she almost looked like she was smiling faintly. I felt uneasy that she knew the situation yet still asked about my mother's condition. Eventually, my mother didn't regain consciousness, and we decided to go home. Then I asked Emily a question. By the way, I heard you were the one who called the emergency services. Where were you? You weren't in the hospital room, right? Oh, I was just calling John. I had to let him know, right? I see. What did he say? He was upset, of course. But he's too busy with work to come back. I see. And about Mom, since we don't know when she might wake up, should we take turns visiting her? Well, yeah. Let's do that. Then I'll go next time. So, we started taking turns visiting my mother. But her condition didn't improve, and the doctor said she was in a vegetative state and recovery was unlikely. Thinking about what to do next, I went home. How's your mother? I shook my head. I see. Emily responded nonchalantly. Seeing her reaction, I decided to ask. By the way, where were you when Mom fell down the stairs? I think I was in the living room. I went to check when I heard a loud noise and found her collapsed. I see. Emily answered smoothly. But there were still suspicious points. Was the living room door open at that time? Huh? I think it was closed. I sensed Emily was lying. And I started to wonder if she had done something to my mother. But I didn't confront her there. Because I had no concrete evidence and thought she might evade it. I needed more proof. 2 months passed since we started taking turns visiting my mother. Initially, Emily went to the hospital regularly, but gradually she started making excuses not to go. You haven't been to the hospital lately, have you? Is that so? Yes, it is. So, let's go together next time. Really? That's a hassle. How can you say that? There's no need to get so angry. Fine, if you insist that much, I'll go with you. It'll be a good chance to face reality. What? So, this Saturday is good for you, right? Yes. I was overwhelmed with a mix of anger and indescribable emotions towards Emily. Then came the promised Saturday. On the way to the hospital, we walked in silence, not speaking to each other. When we got to my mother's room, I immediately talked to her. Mom, I came to see you today. There was no response from her. Then Emily said something outrageous. Why don't you just give up? She's just a vegetable anyway. What? I glared at Emily, straight on. How can you say something like that? Then Emily, facing my mother lying in the bed, said even worse things. Just think about it. She's eating up all this hospital money without even knowing when she'll wake up. Stop it, please! What about you? Do you really think you can take care of this old lady forever? I was so angry, I felt like I was going to burst. I wanted to slap her, but I held back. I could feel my fists clenched tightly. I hate taking care of her anymore, and I'm not paying a single penny. Where are you going? Wait, please! There's no way I can stay here. I'm going home. Bye. And with that, Emily left the hospital room, laughing loudly. Her voice echoed down the hallway. Looking at my mother, I whispered, Mom, what should I do? I buried my face beside the bed, feeling utterly hopeless. It's okay. Leave it to me. What? I quickly raised my head. To my surprise, my mother, who should have been unconscious, was sitting up. Frozen in disbelief, I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. Are you okay? Why? Well, a lot has happened. So, you heard everything just now? Yes. Now it's our turn for revenge. My mother's face looked filled with confidence. Well, when did you wake up? The doctor said you were in a vegetative state. I'm not sure myself. But your dead father appeared in my dream, asking how long I was going to sleep. Really? Even the doctor was surprised. I can imagine. A sense of immense relief rose within me, along with the shock. Once I somewhat understood the situation, I asked Mom the most crucial question. So, Mom, you falling down the stairs was? Yes, it was Emily's doing. My suspicions were indeed correct. Did you realize it? I didn't realize, but when I started asking around, there were some strange points. I see. But don't worry anymore. And Sarah, there's something I need you to do. Following my mother's request, I immediately went home. Don't tell Emily, okay? All right. When I got home, I searched the places my mother had instructed. While checking the living room and kitchen, I found a camera hidden in a small teddy bear. It was a secret plan my mother had prepared. Finally, I checked the camera placed in the most important spot, a cabinet around the living entrance. The camera had perfectly captured the moment Emily pushed my mother down the stairs from behind. With this evidence, we could bring Emily down. I was filled with determination. Then, my mother and I decided on the day to execute our plan. It was set for the day of my mother's discharge from the hospital, which was going smoothly. Fortune seemed to be on our side. John is coming home today, isn't he? How can you be so happy when Mom is in that condition? Just make sure you don't tell John anything unnecessary, understood? I get it. I replied, but inside, I was smiling to myself. Then, my brother arrived. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm back. And about Mom. It's so sad about Mom. Who would have thought such a thing would happen? How insincere. But soon, that facade would turn into a face of despair. Sarah, I'm sorry to put you through all this. I should be the one doing it too. It can't be helped. You're busy with work, so we need to help each other as a family. thanks. Then, my brother and I discussed my mother's future. I felt bad but went along with the conversation. About an hour later, the doorbell rang. Who could that be at this time? Oh. I'll get it. Thanks. When I got to the entrance, Mom was standing there. I had asked her to wait at a nearby cafe and contacted her at the right time. Is John here? Of course. Emily has no idea that Mom is here. What's that? Don't worry. Let's watch it on the big screen. Let's go then. My mother and I headed to the living room where Emily was waiting. As we burst through the door, Emily's face showed utter surprise. How can this be? Mom? Is this a dream? Sorry, John. I'll explain everything later. Yeah, okay. John was speechless with shock. We approached our target, Emily. Now, Emily, it's time for you to regret all your sins. What are you talking about? You'll understand once you see this. Sarah, please. Leave it to me. I connected my phone to the TV. Here goes. I'm playing it now. Then, Emily's true nature was displayed on the TV. John, this is Emily's true self. Mom was put in a vegetative state because of her. No way. Emily, you? Emily desperately tried to explain it was an accident. Of course, we had anticipated this. I then showed the various abuses Emily had hurled, captured on camera. Now that everything was revealed, Emily had no way out. John, now you understand, right? Your wife has been doing whatever she pleases while you are away. So it is. I couldn't see anything. Wait a minute. Listen to me. But John glared back at Emily like a demon. What you did to my family is unforgivable. You need to leave. No, it's divorce. Good for you, John. I'm glad you understand. Emily, looking like she was about to cry, clung to John. To think I was married to a woman like a devil. I'm ashamed of myself. Wait. Don't leave me. Shut up. John shook off Emily's hand. It's over now. Unfortunately, Emily, you'll have to pay for your actions. Well, that settles it then. I called the police. What Emily did was a serious crime that could have cost a life. I've just called the police, so please stay calm. Remember, trying to run will only make your situation worse. No way! Emily collapsed onto the floor, her face buried. Her demeanor was nothing like the high-handed attitude she had shown us before. About 15 minutes after the call, the police arrived. After explaining the situation and showing the video, Emily was taken into custody. Good luck with that. Don't ever show your face to us again. I'll never forget what you've done. We watched as Emily was taken away in a car by the police. Feeling a sense of achievement and relief was incredibly satisfying. So, why didn't you tell me about Mom? Oh, that. Mom said it was because you're worse at hiding your feelings. What? And how did Mom? That, I don't know either. It's a miracle, they say. We chatted and celebrated John's return home. For today, we decided to forget about Emily and enjoy the time as a family of 3. John's stay was only for a week, so we got busy the next day. First thing he did was start the divorce proceedings. The lawyer was quick to take action once he heard the situation. As for Emily, it looks like Emily is going to be prosecuted, but what about Mom? Well, that seems fair. I don't know what will happen, but she needs to pay for her crimes. It's only right after all she did. We were given the chance to visit Emily, so we decided to see what she looked like. You look pretty well. How can you say I look well? Well, you look aged, but if you can complain that much, you must be fine. So, why are you here? That's obvious. Just came to see how frustrated you are. What? That's really it. Goodbye. After saying that, we left. Seeing Emily's face of despair was enough. It felt like enjoying the misfortune of others. 2 weeks later, John, who had returned overseas, informed us that the divorce was finalized. Hey, Sarah. The divorce is done. I feel like a weight has been lifted. That's great. Just make sure you don't fall for such a woman again. I know. John seemed to have gotten over it. As his sister, I was truly relieved. Meanwhile, my mother and I are enjoying a carefree life at home. Free from Emily, our days are rosy.